Buenas, Lantans, ¿cómo les va? Estamos en el episodio número 50, un hito en la historia de protagonistas del cómic, este programa de entrevistas que trajo a figuras de todos los países, desde Brasil, desde Argentina, desde Estados Unidos, Canadá, Europa, etc. Tuvimos a muchos, pero este marca un hito. Y ahora voy a empezar a hablar en inglés. Lo único que voy a adelantarles es que la persona que está hoy acá es responsable de estas dos cosas. De estas dos cositas. I'm really thrilled to present Protagonistas del cómic episode 50 to the great Uncle Todd for the comic book readers, the Todd father, the greatest.
Oh man, ¿Cómo está, mi amigo? How are you today?
Awesome, Mr. Mcfarlane. How are you?
Good. Don't worry about Todd. He's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. First of all, I want to thank you for being here, for taking your time to giving me this interview. It's an honor. It's something unthinkable for someone in Argentina, for a comic book fan in Argentina, you know?
Well, Kyle, you know, we're rooting for Argentina to win against England and win the whole World Cup, right? So Argentina first, Spain second. So,
whoa. You know that if Argentina wins the World Cup, you are our lucky charm.
Oh, well, I'm gonna guess me and every other citizen of Argentina are rooting for them too. So yeah, it won't just be me. So.
So Todd, to begin the interview, tell us about how you begin reading comics.
I started collecting, which is when I began reading them, around when I was about 16 years old. So for most people, that's kind of late. At least back, I'm talking about the 1970s, and so. Most people not collect, but read comic books when they're a child. And then as you get, and then back then, as you got older, then you grew up and you stopped reading comic books because there wasn't any comic book stores or conventions or any of that stuff, TV shows, movies like today. So it was thought of as a child's sort of occupation of reading comic books. And then you get older. I did it the opposite. I didn't read when I was a child. I started at 16. I'm Canadian, and I was living up in Canada. And once a friend gave me a couple copies, and I went, wow. I just started grabbing and buying as much as I could afford, and not only reading them and collecting them, mostly Marvel and DC comics, but it also showed me potentially an art style that I could use to maybe put my artistic energy towards. Because up to 16, I was all over the map in my drawing. I didn't have any one style. And then I saw the comic books, I read the comic books, and I went, man, I'm gonna teach myself that look that's in these books. I'm gonna teach myself what I would call Americana superheroes. So,
do you recall which were the artists that inspire you?
At the beginning, at the very beginning, they were all of them, because they were all professionals, and I wasn't. But back then, the big ones were George Perez, He was doing the Fantastic Four and the Avengers at that time, which, you know, was shocking,
mind blowing. Yeah,
because his artwork was so detailed, and he was doing 2 books, and most people couldn't do 2 books, let alone at that detail. John Byrne was also one of the big names. He was doing a couple books, I think, when I first started, Iron Fist and Marvel Team Up, but then he ended up jumping over to the Uncanny X-Men and getting Giant, you know, became the very famous John Byrne back then. But I'm trying to think who, but those were John, both John and Sal Buscema. John Buscema did a lot of Conan artwork. He was doing Thor and some other stuff, and then Sal Buscema was doing Spiderman and the Hulk, and I just, all of them did what I would call classic superhero storytelling and artwork, and so I was drawn to that look.
And you mentioned Spider-Man and Hulk, and it were 2 of the heroes that you begin working on Marvel.
Yeah, but when you're 16 and you're collecting, you're never thinking, I'm gonna someday draw this, right? So you're having fun with it. So eventually after, I mean, again, I start collecting at 16, start teaching myself to draw superhero comics, and I get my first job when I was 23, 24. So it took 7 years for me to figure it out, and for somebody to say yes. So and so I think the first job I got was in 1984, where they phoned me in 1984. I drew my first book, but it didn't come out to the public till 1985, early 1985. So that's sort of my career. So I guess it's been over 40 years now. But you have to climb sort of the ladder to get the promotions, if you will.
Yeah.
And the promotions usually, unfortunately, isn't money. The promotion is the character. So I started on books that most people would never have heard about. And then eventually, because they could see that I could keep deadlines and get the books out on schedule, they kept offering me bigger books until probably the first big book I got was, as you mentioned, The Incredible Hulk. Because the Incredible Hulk now becomes a book that my mom and dad have heard of, right? Even though I'd been in comic books for years, they didn't really know the characters I was drawing. It was when I got to Hulk that they went, "Oh man, our son has finally made it," even though I'd been in the industry for years. And then obviously once I did stuff for Spider-Man, a little bit of Batman, then it became even easier to get people to understand what you were doing, because you were doing characters that people knew, or their neighbors knew, or somebody in the family knew. So you begin, you first did some work for DC, Infinity Inc. I remember Infinity Inc. A great book, by the way. The 3 issues of Year 2. Batman Year 2?
Year 2. Some covers, and then you went to Marvel.
No, that's not. I'll quickly sort of work you through it. So I started at Marvel on a book called Coyote, but I was only there for a few months, and then I went over to DC, and then very quickly got the book Infinity Inc., which incorporated, which is the one you're talking about. Again, unfortunately, I got the book because the artist that was on the book passed away, died in the middle of it. He was a young man and he died. So they were like, "Hey, Todd, we need somebody," and I jumped it. So I did an Infinity Inc. And then after doing Infinity Inc., the writer on the book was a man named Roy Thomas, and he was very kind and was always willing to give me work. But I got to the point where I needed to know whether I was in the industry, comic industry, because of Roy Thomas, or whether I was in the comic industry because I was good, right? Yeah. So I left Roy, and then not only did I leave Roy, I went to Marvel. I went back over to Marvel, and did a couple of fill-in issues. They were testing me, and then they gave me the Hulk. They gave me the Hulk because they saw what I had done over on Infinity Incorporated, and so. I also was starting to get faster with my drawing. Yeah. So I was like George Perez, like I mentioned before, I was starting to get to where I thought I could do 2 books in 1 month. And so I told them at Marvel, hey, I think I can do 2 books. I can do the Hulk in another book. And they said, oh, cool, we'll give you G.I. Joe. And so I started on G.I. Joe, which is funny, Kyle, because it's called G.I. Joe, a real American hero. I'm Canadian, and I was drawing it in Canada. So it's good thing there was no internet back then, because it would have been a whole issue. It would have been a whole issue. Anyways, I did the G.I. Joe, and after 1 issue, I got fired. Myself and the writer just didn't see eye to eye. And I tell this story because it's true that I got fired, and I'd never been fired at comic books. I've been at it for years. And I looked at my clock, and it was like 12:07. And I was like, man, I just got fired. I don't know why I looked at the clock, but it was like, I got fired at 12:07 today. And then like 9 minutes later, bring phone, and it's one of the big shots at DC. And they said, hey, the artist just left Batman Year 2 after 1 issue. Do you want to come and finish that? So I go, yeah. So at that point, Kyle, I was working at Marvel on Hulk and working at DC on the Batman Year 2. I was working at both companies, but it was only a 4-parter. So at the end of the Batman Year 2, and that last issue was the very first issue, I began inking my own artwork. Before I was just doing the pencil artwork, and somebody was always applying the inks over me, to my frustration. And so the last issue, I said, hey, you got to let me ink this last issue. And I've never inked. I don't even really know how to ink, but I've got to ink. I can't take this anymore. And they said yes. So after I was done, I went back to Marvel, and I said, hey, is there any way I can ink the Hulk? They let me ink Batman. Why can't I ink the Hulk? And they went, oh, okay, we'll let you ink the Hulk. And then I go, oh, I can still do 2 books. And I went looking for another book, and in short order ended up getting Amazing Spider-Man. And then asked if I could ink that book, which was sort of like doing 4 books, right? Because I had to pencil Hulk, ink Hulk, pencil Spider-Man, ink. So it was starting to get a lot of work, and I knew that issue 300 was coming up, Amazing Spider-Man 300, and that's when my first issue, they were going to let me pencil and ink, and it was going to be double the pages. So I had to give up the Incredible Hulk at that point, just to focus all my energy on Spider-Man at that point.
And when you begin with Spider-Man, the decision to, let's say, change the appearance, the dynamics on the pages, the texture of the webbing, was your idea, or was it an editorial mandate?
No, The book when I took it over with David Mcfarlane, he was the writer. The book was like I want to say like number 21, 22 in terms of their sales list. You know, Spider-Man, Spider-Man's their icon, right? He's their big boy. And somehow it had slipped and slipped and slipped. I mean, all the mutant books had gone way up, but it had gone even like below like the Hulk and Iron Man and stuff like that. So they didn't give us any mandate other than to say, is there any way you guys can do some stuff and try and get the sales up? So that was, I took that as saying, oh, they're going to give us the freedom to do and try new things. So that was it. So I thought that they wanted us to try new things. So as I was drawing my pages, I go, okay, this can't look the same. It can't be the same because the sales are not there. We have to do something different, not better. Because again, I never tell anybody their opinion. So I did something different, and then I let the readers decide whether they like it more or less, right? And it seemed to work. And so the longer that we were on the book, the more the sales went up and up and up and up and up to the point that they were doing bi-weeklies and bringing in other characters. And then eventually I wanted to begin writing my own stories, Kyle, not because I thought I was a writer and not because I thought I had anything important to say. I wanted to write because I wanted to draw characters that I wanted to draw. Because the thing that was odd was that in all my time that I was working at either Marvel or DC with other writers, never, I don't recall a single time, maybe they did, but I don't recall a single time where the writer said, hey, Todd, what villain would you like to put in the book this month? Who would you like to draw? Is there a guest star you would like me to bring into the book? Right? So the writers got to bring in the characters they liked. It's just that I found it odd. They never asked their artist, hey, every now and then, maybe I'll ask the artist to keep him happy. Is there anybody you would like to draw? And so I just thought that the only way I was going to ever be able to draw some characters or villains was if I was in control of the writing. And so they went, okay, but we don't want you to quit Spider-Man. And but I go, I can't. I'm not going to kick David Mcfarlane off the book. He was my friend. I'm not going to do that. So I'll quit. And they went, whoa, we want you on Spider-Man. What if we create a new Spider-Man book? Because then you can stay on Spider-Man, and David gets his book, you get your book, and we still get McFarlane Spider-Man artwork. Okay, that became Spider-Man #1, right? Again, it's an interesting thing, Kyle, that the worst issue I ever wrote, which is your first issue, right? Because you're a beginner. The first issue that I ever wrote, which in theory should be my worst, will go down in history as my best-selling comic book. And the reason is, for people who might not know, is because it was an issue #1. It was a new Spider-Man issue, and it was me doing the artwork. So they were buying that. And I just happened to also be the writer down here. As a matter of fact, not only the writer, a brand new writer, but it sold a record. It's still a record today for a single creator, writer-artist combo. Most sales ever.
1.7 million, I think.
No. That was Spawn.
Spawn.
That was Spawn. The Spider-Man was about 3.5 million. And again, later on, I think X-Force and X-Men sold more, but they had like a writer and a penciler and an inker, right? For one person, because I was writing, penciling, and inking. I was doing everything on the book. It set a record, and it's still a record. And later on, and we can get to it, but later on when I did Spawn, I also own the independent record, regardless of whether there's more than one person. So I've got the record on the inside of the corporation and the outside of the corporation. I've got both records. So,
I can imagine. We everybody knows the story about why you leave Marvel and founded Image with all the other comic book creators.
Yeah, co-founded.
But, I can't imagine how hard might have been leave Spider-Man and take that leap of faith. Was that like that for you?
No. And again, I think it's a personality trait, right?
Yeah.
I have a personality like that. I've got lots of friends. Rob Liefeld for sure is like me. That like you never do anything that you have any ounce of doubt that you won't succeed. Like, we're gonna go do this. Let's do it. Let's do it. I never do anything where I go, well, it might not work. No, I don't give space to any of that. So you can call that determined. You can call that being focused. You can also call that being delusional, because if you're not paying attention, that there's a chance that this isn't 100%. But I don't like you. You never deal with the negative until it's in front of you, right in front. Like until then, why would I think about that? Right? Like, look at. I'm starring for Argentina in the game against England today. Am I going to give 1 second of thought to even the hint of losing today? Never. We are going to win until we don't. And then I'll deal with that, right? But until then, of course we're going to win. Of course we're going to beat them. Of course we're going to be better. Like, of course. So I don't know. Is that confidence? Is it grandeur? Is it cockiness? Is it arrogance? I don't know. Give it whatever word you want. It's just, at some point, it just becomes personality. So when I left, I knew that we were going to be at least somewhat successful. And oh, by the way, the big piece of the equation, we were going to get 100% of the financial fallout of it. We get to draw whatever we want. So we get 100% creative freedom, and at the end of it, we get 100% of the finances. I don't know. It seemed like a pretty good ride to go and at least try. I mean, like get on that roller coaster. Let's go for a ride, and if it doesn't work, I don't know. We'll deal with it at that point, because Marvel and DC would have taken us back in 10 seconds. Kyle, I have not drawn a single page for Marvel or DC, right? Unless it has the Image eye on it and it's got Spawn in it, like, but just a cover or an interior, like, since 1992, zero. I have given them zero. Do I think if I went and knocked on either one of their doors tomorrow that they would take me back? In a heart, it's been 40 years. They would take me back that quick. Like, so anytime during those 40 years we were at Image, I was at Image. I guess there was always a backup plan. I could always go back to them, right? So it was like, so what? So I either drawing comic books here, I'm drawing comic books here. I'm going to be drawing comic books. It's just a matter where I'm drawing them. But over here, I'm in control, and there's way more opportunities when you're in control than over here. So yes, I'm proud of what I've done at Marvel and DC. Yes, I applaud my peers for what they're doing in the comic book industry and have done in the comic book industry. But I'm here to tell you, it's living proof, and there are others like me, Robert Kirkman being amongst them, with the creator of Walking Dead and The Invincible, that doing stuff and being famous and being on a popular book that you do not own is nowhere close to doing the exact same thing and you own the book and you own the character. There's no comparison. So on a big scale, not on a small scale, on a big scale, there's no comparison. So
you also open the door for those comic book creators to do this and encourage themselves to go and take the risk that, as you said, you did it because you were confident that you were gonna make it.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of Spawn, your baby.
But let me just, before we get to Spawn for a second, let's just back up and let me just touch what you said. Giving the opportunity to new creators to basically do what we did, which is to own and create your own characters. Like that's the victory. For a guy like me, that's of all the things I'll probably go to my grave being the most proud of, it's going to be that piece. Not that I created Spawn, of which I'm quite proud of. It's that myself and others created a company that now gives the opportunity to other creative people to have what we have, which is just 100% ownership in all of your creative and financial well-being, like good, bad, or indifferent. Now, again, all of them will not succeed at the same level. But when you do go up, they are great examples to show people, oh my gosh, look at how well those people are doing. And they're not working at Marvel and they're not working at DC and they're doing great. Maybe I could do that. And whether that's you as a creator that's off to the side or you as a creator who are working within Marvel and DC, you can see those examples out there. And it's like, yes, come. Image Comic Books, just to be clear, Image Comic Book owns nothing. Nothing. We own desks and a couple computers. That's it. So if you, Kyle, came and did a comic book for us, you own 100%. On each issue, we get a little bit of money to help you do the boring stuff. Printing, shipping, accounting, advertising, marketing, like all the stuff you don't want to get distracted with because you need to put your head down and create. We'll take care of that. We get this much. You get this much. And then if somebody comes along in Hollywood and says, oh my God, Kyle, we want to make a movie of it. You get all of it. We don't even get a penny. We don't even get a penny of that. And we don't want a penny. And if you do video games and hats and toys, and we don't get nothing, that's you and your family. You and your family prosper. Why? Because it's you doing the hard work. That's where I have the biggest smile, where I'm the most proud of that, of being able to give others that opportunity. And some of them succeed at a very, very high level and are able to provide for their families in a way that they would never be able to do if they were working for Marvel or DC.
That would be your legacy for the comic book, industry, comic book creators. That would be your legacy.
Yeah. Not mine. All my fellow co-founders of Image, all of us said, let's create the best deal we can for ourselves. And then once we created it, we said, now take that deal and turn it around and offer it to everybody else. You get, or anybody else that comes to Image, you guys get basically the co-founders deal. You get the same deal as me. Kyle would get the same deal as Todd. We don't discriminate. We just go, no, we're all equal. Power to the artist, power to the creative people. So
awesome. And as I told you before, when you begin in the company Image, the editorial, you begin with Spawn.
Yep.
Why do you think that a comic book like Spawn, it's so fresh and it's keep telling interesting stories that people still follows Spawn, and it keeps selling.
I think next year will be the 35th year of both Image and Spawn, because they both came out the same year. So for 35 years, I think part of the popularity is the fact that he has been out there for 35 years, right? Like any idea that is out in the world for 3, 4, 5 decades nonstop, eventually that brand gets in your head, whether you collect it or not, right? Again, you could go up to your mom and say, Spider-Man. I'm sure she's never bought a Spider-Man comic book, but she knows who it is, right? Why?
Yeah.
Because it's a big brand, right? So you go, okay, cool. Just like my parents knew when I got to do the Incredible Hulk. They go, oh man, I've heard of the Incredible Hulk, right? They never bought any comics, but they heard about it. So for me, the goal was to see if I could get Spawn to be even just a small version of that. But the only way to do that was to just do what those other books did, which is come out month after month after month after month after month, and hopefully deliver, a good story at a fair price, right? That combination matters, right? You have to give people like value, and then you have to price it at a reasonable price, because otherwise, if you get greedy, people will go, nah, I don't need that. So I think you have to be fair to your fans, your customers at all times. And most decisions I make on a business level really come down to what would I have wanted when I was 16 or 17? Because I didn't have a lot of money. And because I didn't have a lot of money, I had to make choices. And even though I would have liked to have had everything, I had to go, no, I can only choose, 3 or 4 out of 50 of the comic books this week. Okay, which of those 3 are going to get my money? And so is it because of the villain? Was it because of the hero? Was it because of the cover? Was it because of whatever the writers were writing, the event in it? What was it that was making me go, oh man, I gotta buy that? And so I go through all of that when even today, like as an old man now, of going, what I'm doing right now, would that have worked for the 16-year-old Todd who had no money? Would he have responded to this? And if I can get the yes, then I go, I think I'm kind of in the ballpark, because I thought that my tastes in comic books were no different than most people. I wasn't unique. I think I was average. So if you can get, the biggest amount of people to come and look at your stuff, it's good. And if you get to entertain yourself, I'm telling Kyle, look at, I have lived a charmed life, and I know it. I get to get up every day and do whatever I want creatively, period, out. That's already worth a lot of money. Just that, forget whether you make money, because now I have a good heart. I don't have any stress. My blood pressure is good. Don't worry about it. Because why? I don't have to ask anybody's permission. So I get to create whatever it is that I want, and then put it out and at the pace that I want, that's good for me and my family. And when it's all done, I get to reap the benefits, good or bad, on the success of all that. And people keep asking for more. So I've got a career. So I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I have no complaints. I have no complaints of anything that has happened, because I know what the options are. The options were to just go get a regular job and have a boss and do something, and maybe after 10 years not be happy with your job and go look for another job. So I got to erase all of that in my life. I got to basically have a lot of joy while I was doing my job. Cool. And then when I put my pencil down, I get to go have a lot of joy with my family. right? And part of the reason I get to have joy with my family, because people have been supporting what I do artistically. So now I can raise my family and treat them well. And our family is very thankful for that. We don't take it for granted. We are very thankful to all the fans for every time that they give us any of their attention. We bow our heads and are humbled by that.
It's very important what you say. I share that feeling that the important thing is spend time with the family and enjoy that time, that quality time.
Yeah.
Something that I was going to ask you, but kind of you already answered it. It's where are we going from now with Spawn? We got a shared universe with Gunslinger, with Scorched, Sam and Twitch. What can we expect in the next issues of Spawn next year, for example, or a San Diego Comic Con announcement?
Yeah. Well, so in the immediate, I've got new writers on. I was writing Spawn, King Spawn, Gunslinger. I now have on Gunslinger Erica Schultz took over the writing. Matt Rosenberg took over the writing on Spawn and King Spawn. So I'm looking forward to see what they're going to bring forward with it. Our next big project is coming up in September. It's called Spawn 77. And it's sort of a wink. I created Spawn in 1977, right? When I was 16, I told you when I was 16, I started collecting and I started drawing and teaching myself. But besides teaching myself how to draw, Marvel and DC characters, I invented new characters. And one of them was a character called Spawn. I created him in 1977, and I've got the drawings, and I did a 40-page book. And I did all this goofy stuff while I was trying to get better and better in my artwork. Anyways, a terrific artist named Mark Spears, who's gotten some popularity here the last few years, saw some of those early drawings from when I was a kid and said, "Man, I really like that, Todd. We should do a story about that." And I was like, I didn't pay much attention. But I was like, yeah, okay, you want to do it? Come up with something. I somewhere he pitched it to me like when we were doing a YouTube interview. So it's actually on record someplace, right? I went, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. And so Mark just kept coming at me saying, I got this idea. And he kept throwing it at me, and he kept giving me paintings of characters because he paints his pages. Yeah. And it was like, all right, let's go and do this. And so the first issue is going to come out in September. It's going to be 52 pages long, 52 pages. Like it's going to be a nice, thick, fat read. And it's going to take place in the year 1977. And we're using my original 16-year-old Todd drawing of Spawn, which doesn't look dramatically different, I have to tell you, but it doesn't have some of the things that people know, like the skulls and the capes and the skull and the chains and the spikes. All that came when I added all that in 1992 when I first started issue number 1. But anyways, we're quite proud of it. It's going to be 3 issues. They're going to be double-sized 3 issues. They're going to be fun. Have a good time with that. And then 2027, like I said, is the 35th anniversary. So we've got some tricks up our sleeve on some of that. And we continue to, work on trying to get a script that I can sign off on for the Spawn movie. So.
Well, the Spawn movie is still in the works then.
Oh yeah. No, I had 2 meetings like a week ago on it. We just can't quite get the script right where we need to. So we're still, and I have to sign off. So maybe that's a good or a bad thing. But that's part of it. Of the ownership. I never gave my rights away to Hollywood. I still own the rights. So I have to be the one that says, yeah, that's it. That's the movie I want to make. And I haven't quite gotten there yet. So
I can imagine a movie today with Spawn with the cape. If the 1997 movie was great and did a lot of honor to your drawings with the cape and all that stuff, can imagine today with today's technology, it would be amazing.
I've said before, but I'm not looking for like the superhero look again. I'm looking, because Spawn's been around so long, everybody's an adult. I think we can do more sophisticated stuff. And for me, that means I think we can get darker and creepier and scarier, and do a lot more things of the shadows and make it almost at times scary, right? I think Spawn works best. It kind of like Batman, works best at night in the shadows, but he can then do a lot of things that Batman can't do because Batman's owned by a corporation and they have to sell a bunch of toys and T-shirts and Lego sets. So I don't care about that. So I want to do R-rated, and that means they're in America they're called PG-13 movies, and so I want to do a dark R-rated movie, and so that's the goal for everybody right now. And
something that really admire from you, it's your ability for marketing. You have this ability to promote passionately your new projects. It's so compelling how you promote a new product, a new toy. Is that something that comes naturally or something that you've learned?
Yeah, it's probably learned behavior, but some of the key components I think are universal, right? That you give people a lot of value. You put the value here and you put the price here. I don't care what you're doing, you can sell it. Give them more value than the cost. Right? If you make the cost about equal, you can still sell it. But if you go up here and you get greedy, not going to happen. So I don't even like this. I usually like to go and do this. So the thing that I've said before is like, so you build a Cadillac, but you sell it at Ford Motor prices. You give them way more than they're expecting and you price it down here. You can sell that all day long. And then if you add one more piece to it, you put a brand on it that people know, done. So this theory of give them value, give them quality and price it here, it's what kept my toy company going forever. And then I said, man, if I could ever get that third piece, give me a strong brand. I mean, I had Spawn, but I'm saying I said before, you give me Star Wars or Spiderman or Avengers or Batman or whatever. You give me one of the big ones, right? Transformers, I'll sell it. I can sell it. The only reason I can't is because I don't have it. But I did this, value, price, and we were doing good. And then somebody gave me Batman and we got DC Multiverse. And we became the #1 selling action figure in America in the year 2022. We sold more than Avengers. We sold more than Spider-Man, more than Star Wars, more than Transformers. Why? Because I had Batman. I had Superman. Like, what are you talking about? So I was doing this. I was doing this value price, and it was Batman. Boom. Boom. That's what we call 3 goals. Messi would call that a hat trick. Come on, man. That's like, you can't fail if you do that. where you can fail is if you go, oh, I'm only going to do a little bit of it and then pull the rug from people and they go, oh man, I kind of like that, but now it's not out there. And while you were doing it, you were trying to get as much money as possible. Look at Kyle. Here's the advantage that I have. I am not a public company. And here's what a public company has to do is a public company has to maximize legally, at least here in the United States, if you're going to be on a stock market, you must maximize your profits every 90 days, because you have to report your earnings every 90 days publicly. And as part of your duty is to maximize profits for your shareholder, which basically means make as much money as you can, as fast as you can in 90 days. I don't know. It can lead to being greedy. It can lead to very short-sighted decision-making. I don't have to play those games. And so for, I think it was 17 years, I didn't raise the price of my comic books. 17 years. Everybody else was. I didn't. Could I? Sure. Could I have then made more money? Sure. But who wins? Who wins on me raising the price? I get more money. I guess the retailers get a little bit more. But does the customer win by paying more money for the exact same product? I don't know what victory the consumer gets. And so we're good. And the only reason I had to raise the price recently after 17 years, and all I did was catch up. But by the time I caught up, they'd gone up a little bit higher, was because they put tariffs on our books and they're printed out of the country. And it's like, okay, I have to cover the tariffs. Like, all right, whatever. So you put this weird tax on the consumer because I have to raise my prices because of the tariffs. That's a whole nother conversation. But okay, fine. But you want to survive? Then don't get greedy. Look at Kyle. I think there's only one deadly sin: greed. Period. Out. I think it consumes all of us at some point, and don't give in to the temptation of it. So I think people understand that when they look at what I do and some of the products I do, that I hope they like the product and they like some of the stuff that we do or I do personally, that they also know that they also know that I'm kind of fair. I'm not greedy. I'm not doing stuff trying to pick their pocket all the time. So when I do have something that I'm excited about and I want to promote, then most people go, oh, okay. Well, Todd usually doesn't do this all the time. He does it twice a year, maybe 3 times a year. And it's like, these are my 3 things, right? And it's not all the time. Look, Kyle, I have said, if you have a cow, I guess you can milk it dry. You can milk it dry. But if you're not thirsty, why would you do that? Exactly. Why don't you just milk it once you're thirsty and drink when you're thirsty? Which basically means, for me, what that means is, like, the milk is, I don't need the money. I got a good life. You guys are giving me a good life. So why would I keep milking, getting more money when I already have money? I already have my milk. So I'm not gonna grab and grab and grab and grab and grab. I'm not gonna play the game that the public companies have to play. I won't do it. So I just go, no, you be fair to your customer, to your fans, and give them a quality product. I think they'll be fair to you. But if you get greedy to your fans, they'll walk away. Eventually they'll walk away. So that's it. Yeah, I don't know. So I didn't teach myself that. It was, well, how would the 16-year-old Todd have felt right now? Would I have wanted that product at that price that often? That's it. It's that simple, right? Like, no, I don't have any ambitions to make any more money than I make right now, right? My ambitions is to make my brand and my characters stronger. That's it. Period. Out.
Todd, and what can we expect from now on that the DC license is coming to an end.
Yep.
Are you working things out
side.
with DC?
On the toy side. Pardon me?
Yeah, on the toy side.
Yeah, on the toy side. Yeah.
Are you working things with them to work as a consultant or other things?
No, we'll be doing a little bit of stuff on the DC side of things on the toys. I mean, obviously, you're right. They took the big brand away, shifted it over to Mattel. But I don't know. I'm a patient person. I plan on being around for another 30, 40 years. So I'll just. Here's the other thing too, Kyle. I don't really get too worked up over things that I'm not in control of, right? I don't control, in this particular case, I don't control the rights to the DC multiverse, and I don't control Superman and Batman. I don't own those. Somebody else owns it, right? And they've made decisions, I'm going to assume, that they believe are better for their brand, their corporation, their bottom line. I don't know, but they made decisions, educated decisions, that they think are better for them. It's their prerogative because they own it. Do I have to agree with it? No. It doesn't matter whether I agree with it or not. That's not relevant. It matters that they own it and I don't. So I guess I could get mad and hold my breath, but it's not going to change anything. So as I've gotten older, I understand where I have power, where I have control, and where I don't. And when I don't have it, I don't believe in the word stress. Just so I disavow that word. I disavow it. Do I have days that are not perfect? Every single day. So I assume every day will be not perfect. So when things happen that don't go your way, of course, because we are living in an imperfect world, you and I are flawed human beings, and the world is littered with billions of flawed human beings. So whatever, it's just life. I like to think about the good things, not the bad things. So, but I'm patient. We'll be around. Don't worry about it. I'll figure it out. And if we don't ever get to do more of a DC multiverse on the toy side, I've still got a couple tricks up my sleeve. Don't worry about it. I am just too competitive to just sort of go, oh, they beat me. No, I'm like Lionel Messi. No, I'm not going to let them beat me. We're going to win. And even if they beat you, then we'll win the next World Cup. And then the next, it's no, you never give the competition up. You're always competitive and you're always ready for the next battle.
Please promise me that you before it they can do it with Mattel, do the absolute 3 figures of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman.
Well, they got smart and came in and tried to go, hey, we got to get that. Don't give any of that. Don't give any of that to McFarlane, right? Because they know that they've got a big seller there, so they'll take full advantage of it. So good on them. They'll get out of the gate really strong if they end up doing some of those figures. They're going to be doing. They'll kill it, So, but here's the thing. Can I tell you? Here's sometimes people don't realize when they got lucky. You have to everybody needs a little bit of luck in your life to succeed at a high level, myself included, right? So I don't know. So what's going to happen is now they're going to be lucky that they're coming in at a time when absolute Batman is there. They're going to sell a bunch, and they're going to somehow think that it was because what they're doing is artistically amazing. And it's no, it's absolute Batman. That's why you're selling it, right? And if it wasn't there, then you're and they're going to buy, no matter how good or bad the product looks, they're going to buy it because they like the brand, right? So that's it. When you've got one company making something, then you have to buy that product, good, bad, or indifferent, because that's it. That's your only choice. And if you like it, that's it. So if somebody's making a Transformer toy and it's bad, it doesn't matter if you like Transformers. That's what you have to buy. And if it's great, good on you. So I don't know. We'll see. My guess is they'll get pretty excited early, but they're not going to be humble enough to know that it might be a little bit of a false positive, and that the reality post that luck may not be as shiny as it is, because it's hard work. It's hard work, in all honesty, selling toys. Hasbro knows it, Playmate knows it, Mattel knows it, so they're going to have to work hard at it. And every now and then something comes along, makes it easy. You can't take that for granted. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out.
Well, I to end the interview, because I don't want to steal any more of your time, Todd. It was truly an honor. Thank you for changing the comic book industry, revolutionizing the toy industry, the action figures industry. You did, or you're doing the best action figures I ever own, and for inspiring generations of comic book creators. It's a real pleasure to have you here, and a real honor.
Yeah, and can I just give some encouragement to people out there that are listening? I didn't set out to do any of this to revolutionize anything. I just wanted to do cool stuff, period. Like, man, I don't understand why toys can't look better. I guess I'll go make my own toy, right? Like, I wasn't sitting there going, hey, and then maybe I'm going to do stuff and people will like it and it'll change the industry. You're not thinking of any of that, right? Hey, we just want to do our own comic book. We didn't know that we were going to create an opportunity at Image Comics that was going to change the industry too, right? So, oddly, those were accidents, right? When I helped co-create Venom, and way back when, it was because I just wanted to get the black costume off Peter Parker. It wasn't because we were going to go, oh man, we're going to create this character and everybody's going to love him. It was just, how do we get the black costume off Peter Parker? That was it. From my perspective, I just didn't want to draw that costume on Peter Parker. Done, out. So you get these, again, you get lucky and you get these happy accidents along the way that in hindsight, you go, oh, I guess we did make a mark. But it was because we just were trying to do the best we could for ourselves, right? And so, I encourage people to constantly advocate for yourself, right? Like, it's not arrogant, it's not braggadocious to want to do something for yourself. I think it's okay, right? If I could give a shirt to every person I ever met, it would say, why not me? Why not? They got it. They're doing it. Why not me? Right? But that becomes, but now, if that's true, it becomes your personality. You have to do it for yourself. This is fight for yourself. Fight for yourself. People aren't going to do you favors. You must do your favors for yourself. And then as time goes by, it becomes easier if it works out. So I don't know. You don't ever know what you're capable of until you try it. Try it, man. Try it. It's good. It can become a good life. I promise.
Awesome advice. Thanks a lot for your time. Nada, gente, acá el número 1, Todd Mcfarlane, en Protagonistas del cómic número 50. Nos despedimos. He's our lucky charm for Argentina. If we win, it was thanks to Todd. Así que bye and see you next episode.